Borecki. One of the most onerous mandates is filling out the FAFSA forms and Connecticut tuition forms. I agree with her. My kids are just starting college this year.
I've been doing that for a few years. I agree.
My name is Rich Borecki. I'm from Cheshire, Connecticut, and I've been working for 29 straight years, employed by the same employer. I have a family, 3 children, a wife, and I consider myself successful. I don't consider myself a fringe of the fringe in any manner. I think that the legislation in light of Sandy Hook was a little bit over. It was crazy and showed disrespect for a good portion of the population of Connecticut. And I want to say, don't you think that the over 120 bills immediately following Sandy Hook was a disgraceful display of party politics, trying to push their own agenda?
Yeah,
I mean, I have not seen that many bills pushed in such a short period of time. Why can't we do that with the budget?
well, there are a lot of bills on the budget, by the way. I didn't submit up the number. I'll take you at the number you mentioned. I don't have an independent knowledge of exactly how many have been submitted. I think that we live in a state where 92% of the people believe in universal background check. We live in a country where 92% of the people believe in universal background check. We live in a country where the majority of gun owners believe in universal background check. And yet we live in a country where 40% of guns change hands without being subjected to a background check. I can't get on a plane without somebody doing a background check on me. And yet we're trading 40% of the guns in this country without universal background check. So if it offends you that scares other people, I apologize for it. But there are certain things that we need to do, and some of those bills might very well have spoken to that issue.
Well, it offends me that the lack of thoughtful process in issuing these bills. I mean, automatically a 50% tax on ammunition or a $140 a year per item per firearm registration. That's a financial burden on most of the people that own firearms. That's ridiculous.
I have referred to people on both sides of the argument, at the ends of the argument, as being on the fringe, to go back to your question. I'm trying to have a common sense discussion about this topic. For instance, we've had a ban on assault weapons in this state since 1993, but it was written in such a way that you could drive a truck through it. We had a ban on assault weapons in this nation until 2004. I mean, this is, that's the reality. We had a ban on magazines over 10 until 2004. So people have opinions, and laws get changed, and they get changed in Washington, they get changed in Hartford. And, I'm not questioning, none of the things that you just mentioned came from me. I've spoken about background checks. I've spoken about closing the loopholes in the assault weapons ban. By the way, under that, we would honor the right of people who currently have those weapons as long as they pass a background check. Because I think you and I would both agree that people who are mentally ill and been adjudged mentally ill, or have a felony violent record, or are under a restraining order as we speak, shouldn't have those weapons. At least I hope we would agree on that. I also agree that we should limit magazines to the ancient 2004 standard, which was 10. But we can disagree on that stuff. I'm not trying to be disagreeable, and I'm agreeing with you. Some things that people suggest on both sides are not appropriate.
Well, thank you for that answer. I think in some respects, though, it's not correct, because, like the first lady that was speaking, she suggested that there shouldn't be a ban of 30. She had some concerns about the limit you're putting on magazine bans.
Yep.
But the statistics show that even up in the shooting that we had up in Enfield or South Windsor, wherever it was, the hit ratio was like only 15% or something like that, something ridiculously low. So people that want to defend themselves under duress, 10 rounds is not going to work enough. These arbitrary bans, they're not studied.
With all due respect, I understand your point. I don't agree with it, but I understand.
Okay, I don't agree with yours either.
No, I
have
know.
to agree to disagree.
No,
But I do want you to do something about lowering the tuition.
Okay. Thank you. No, thank you very much. Listen, you've been very reasonable. I'm not fighting you. I mean, I understand you have a position. I understand that your position is different than mine. I put forward what I think are common sense proposals. I didn't propose a tax on ammunition. I didn't propose a $140 fee. I didn't propose the other things that may be contained in the 160 other suggestions that people have made. I spoke to universal background checks, a ban on assault weapons, where we've had a ban in our state since 1993, a limitation on the size of magazines, and that people be responsible and keep their guns under lock and be held responsible if they fail to do so. Okay?